Okay, JR here from COP Audio. Pitter patter, let's get at her. So this is my 32 channel split snake. Today's video is going to be on split snakes. I'm absolutely amazed at how many people don't know what a split snake is. You know, the technology's been around for bazillion years or whatever. I think Moses used a passive split snake to to get the to get the Ten Commandments to various places. That's a horrible analogy, but okay, you get my point. So basically what this is, let me just show you here. So you're going to plug all your mics and stuff into this guy here, and then on the back of this thing, you have two tails that come out. This one, which will go to your on stage mixer. Like most guys that are using this is using it with an in-ear monitor setup or something like that. So that tail is going to go to your ear mixer. You know, a lot of guys have this thing in the same rack as their ear mixer. And that tail is usually short. You know, like I think that tail right there is only 15 feet. But then the other tail that comes out is down here. And that Jasper is 50 feet. So I could, with this snake for my application, you know, I could use it to reach a monitor console or something like that, you know, in a festival setting. So I can plug all my stage inputs into this guy and then run one tail to the band's ear mix and run the other tail to my monitor board. And, have independent control. This is a passive split. And basically what that means is on each one of these XLR connectors, they basically have two wires on each connector. One supplying one tail, the short tail, and one supplying the other tail. So there are no transformers. There's no ground lifts on this one. This is as straight ahead, plain Jane as you can get. I actually bought this one used off of eBay. I think it came out of an install. So on the short, it actually didn't even have a long tail, but it has XLR outs on the back of the box. So I just bought a Whirlwind 50-foot, 32 channel 50-foot XLR to XLR fan to make the long tail work. And then I just soldered Nutrix, XLRs onto the blunt tail that it came with it. Man, I gave I don't even remember. It was something ridiculous. I gave like $150 for that thing. And when I opened it up, there was inspection paperwork in there and stuff from CBI. The CBI is a very reputable, middle of the road, manufacturer of this kind of stuff. In fact, it's probably my go-to manufacturer when I'm putting together ear rigs for guys, and stuff like that is CBI, because I prefer Whirlwind. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being real. I prefer Whirlwind because I think they're the best on the market. But Whirlwind's crazy expensive. Like the long tail that I bought, just the XLR to XLR 50-foot was like $850 or something, just for the tail, I probably had $100 in Nutrix XLRs, and in afternoon, probably 2 hours of soldering to get the blunt in, soldered up. It's the correct gauge wire and all that kind of stuff. The thing that, I got to keep it real with you guys, man. I see a lot of bands kind of cheese out on splitters, and they're buying these seismic audio splitters, man. And they're just not good splitters, man. They're not very quality made. It really, I think it's Chinese made or something. I know Seismic is out of Tennessee, but you guys got to realize that there has been some import companies pop up in the last 10 years, all over the U.S., that are claiming U.S. made kind of credentials, and all they're doing is having Chinese manufacturers make their stuff, and then they import them here, put their logos on them, or have them put their logos on them in China, and import them into the U.S. Now you do get some U.S. based customer service. I mean, so there's something to be said for that. But this splitter right here, I mean, I got like stupid lucky by finding this thing on eBay for $150 or $200, whatever it was I paid for it. And then I had $100 in there, so there's $350, $850 in the long tail. Do the math. I'm still into this splitter for half of what it would have cost. I think Whirlwind wanted $3,000, $3,500 for this exact same passive splitter, and I think those was like one 10-foot tail and maybe a 20-foot tail. The tails weren't as long. Like, I needed a 50-foot tail. That way, if I'm on a stage at a county fair, or if I'm on a bigger stage where I need to reach to Monitor World, I needed at least 50 feet to be able to get there. I've got drop snakes that go all around the stage to get me to, like, say, a stage left position. Monitor World is most times on stage left. So 50 feet gives me plenty of room to get there. And 15 feet gives me enough room to get to the band's, ear mixer or whatever it is that they're doing. So yeah, I don't recommend the Seismic Audio stuff. I know they're cheap, guys. It's so tempting to buy a 24-channel split snake for $240. Just know that, I know a ton of bands who have lost channels on those things. The wires are so thin and so low quality that you can't hardly even repair them when there is a problem. That's the beautiful thing about this kind of stuff I'm talking about, CBI, Whirlwind. I've seen some pro-level Elite Core stuff that was pretty good. Their entry-level stuff is probably on the same platform or the same level as that Seismic Audio stuff I'm talking about, but be careful what you're buying there. But when you get this better stuff, better made stuff, if something goes wrong, and if you use the stuff, it's only a matter of time before something's going to go wrong. You're going to lose an XLR. Stuff ain't going to last forever. But, say 5 years from now, I have a failure on this split snake, I can tear it apart and repair it. I can resolder connections, or I can, switch out another Nutrix, XLR, input, connector or something like that. So yeah, you kind of get what you pay for. Like, when guys come to me to put ear rigs together, and they usually have to have at least a 16-channel split. I think the last one I put together, I think the split might have been $400 or $500, for a pre-made, 16-channel split snake, and that was with like a 8-foot tail and a 30-foot tail, because the tails make a difference. Because the longer the tail, the more copper they have to use to make the tail. And as you can imagine right now, everything is crazy, crazy expensive. And, you gotta factor all that stuff into the price, man. And shipping is crazy. This Whirlwind, 50-foot that I just got and got going with this thing, I think I was 6 weeks waiting on it. That's just kind of the world we're in right now, so... that's kind of how the whole split snake thing works, and that's my recommendations. If you're using a Seismic Audio splitter and you're the one guy who's never had a problem with it and you've had it for 10 years, hey man, more power to you. I'm not trying to hate on you. I'm just trying to give you good, solid advice. I'm the guy who hates buying gear twice. I would rather spend more money now and do it right the first time and not have to replace it in 2 years and get, 10, 12, 15 years of service out of whatever it is I'm buying, than, to cheese out and buy something that's, could fail. I've seen some of them seismic splitters fail, dear Lord, man, like 3 months in, with bands that are playing out every weekend. They're already telling me they're losing channels and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, that's kind of why I told you to go with the CBI splitter or, a Pro Series, Elite Core, or even a Whirlwind. If you got the jack, man, you buy a Whirlwind, it'll probably last you the life of your band, And then the other thing is sound. There is a difference. Now, we're talking about passive splits here. Now, we're not talking about active splits, transformer splits. Those things, do some really cool, technical stuff that keeps the signal, integrity where it needs to be. I'm not going to geek us out on that because that's not where we're at today. We can talk about that in another video. But as far as passive splits are concerned, the heavier gauge cable you have in the unit, the better your stuff is going to sound. The better connectors you have, the more signal integrity you're going to have. I joke around with some of my other, sound geek buddies. Like, every time I got a mix on a system that has a Seismic Audio splitter in it, a little piece of me dies, because it just robs the band of so much warmth and body, and you got to just pound preamp gain, at them in your mixer to try and get them to respond All passive splits have that characteristic to a certain degree or another, but when you get on something where you're down to 26 gauge, wires in your splitter, man, it's not carrying the signal correctly. You're losing frequency response. You're losing so much depth and warmth, in your mix, and you're running everything through the split. Your whole band, everything goes through that split. So remember that when you're putting this stuff together. Maybe it's time to upgrade. Maybe you've had a seismic and it's paid for itself, and your band's working well enough, or you got guys in the band that have good day jobs, and this is your hobby, and this is what you like to pour money into. Spend the money and buy a CBI splitter or a Whirlwind splitter or something like that. I really think CBI gives the most bang for the buck as far as middle market stuff is concerned. When you talk about pro touring, Whirlwind kind of owns that market. Radial kind of owns that market. It's a whole different animal. That's not where we're at today in this video. So I hope that helps you out. I hope that gives you some insight on why you use a splitter to begin with and why you should buy a good splitter and what separates good splitters from bad splitters. Have a great day. Rock somebody's face out.